She saved me from my ex. That night I lost control under her touch. The rain-slicked alley in Brooklyn reeked of garbage and regret, the kind that clings to your skin like cheap perfume after a bad decision. My heart hammered against my ribs, each beat a frantic Morse code screaming run, run, run. I could hear his boots splashing through puddles behind me, his voice slurring curses that cut deeper than any knife. Alex, you think you can just walk away? After everything? Mark's words echoed off the brick walls, laced with that toxic mix of whiskey and rage I'd learned to dread over 2 hellish years. I was 28, a bartender slinging drinks at the Rusty Anchor in Williamsburg, where the neon buzz and clink of glasses drowned out the noise in my head most nights. But tonight after closing he'd shown up again, eyes wild, fists clenched, dragging me into this nightmare chase. My sneakers slapped against the wet pavement, breath coming in ragged gasps that burned my lungs. The city lights blurred into streaks of yellow and red, indifferent witnesses to my desperation. Why did I ever think I could escape him? He was like a shadow stitched to my soul, pulling me back every time I inched toward the light. A sharp turn into a narrower side street, and I slammed into a chain-link fence, the metal rattling like a caged door. No way out. Panic clawed up my throat, hot and metallic. I spun around, back pressed to the cold links, my dark hair plastered to my sweat-damp forehead. There he was, looming at the alley's mouth, his broad shoulders blocking the faint glow from the street lamp. 6 feet of muscle and menace, his face twisted in that familiar snarl.
You with me, Alex.
You always will. I didn't scream. Screaming never helped with Mark. Just fed him. Instead, I whispered to myself, a mantra worn thin from too many close calls. You're stronger than this. But my hand shook as I fumbled for my phone in my jacket pocket. The screen cracked from last week's argument. No signal. Of course, the universe loved its cruel jokes. He advanced, slow and deliberate, like a predator savoring the hunt. The rain pattered softer now, a mocking applause. Come on, baby. Let's go home. I didn't mean it this time. Lies. Always lies, wrapped in that boyish grin that had hooked me at 26, fresh out of community college, dreaming of art school but settling for pouring shots to pay the rent. He'd been charming then, a construction worker with calloused hands that promised safety. Now those hands were weapons. I edged along the fence, searching for a gap, a door, anything. My mind raced through fragments of escape plans I'd scribbled in bar napkins. Call the cops. Change the locks. But fear paralyzed me, the same fear that kept me silent when friends asked about the bruises blooming like ugly flowers on my arms. Then from the shadows beyond him, a voice sliced through the tension like a camera flash in the dark. Hey, back the fuck off her. Mark froze and so did I. Footsteps, confident, unhurried, approached from the cross street. A figure emerged into the dim light. Tall, maybe 5'10", with auburn hair tied back in a loose ponytail that caught the rain like copper threads. She wore a leather jacket over a faded band tee, jeans tucked into scuffed boots, a camera bag slung across her chest like armor. Her face was all sharp angles and quiet intensity, green eyes locked on Mark with the steady focus of someone who'd seen worse in war zones or darkrooms. Who the hell are you? Mark snarled, squaring up, his chest puffing like a cornered bull. She didn't flinch. Didn't even blink. Someone who's about to call 911 if you take one more step. Her voice was low, edged with Brooklyn grit, the kind that said she'd grown up dodging worse than drunk exes in these streets. She pulled out her phone, thumb hovering over the screen, but her gaze never left him. Walk away, man. Night's young. Plenty of bars still open. I held my breath, the air thick with the scent of wet concrete, and her faint trace of sandalwood soap cutting through the rot. Mark hesitated, his eyes flicking between us, weighing the odds. He was big, but she moved like she knew how to handle herself. Poised, ready like a coiled spring. Finally, he spat on the ground, a glob of disdain that splattered near my feet. This ain't over, Alex. Then he turned, shoulders hunched against the drizzle, vanishing into the night like smoke. The alley fell silent, save for the distant wail of a siren and the steady drip from a fire escape overhead. My knees buckled and I slid down the fence, the metal biting into my palms. Sobs racked me then, ugly and unchecked, the dam finally breaking. She was at my side in an instant, crouching low, her hand hovering near my shoulder, close enough to offer warmth, far enough to respect the invisible wall I'd built around my shattered trust. "Hey," she said softly, her voice a bomb against the storm in my chest. "You're okay now." "He's gone." Up close, she was older than I'd guessed, 32 maybe, with faint laugh lines etching the corners of her eyes, like she'd captured 1,000 smiles through her lens but kept her own guarded. I wiped my face with the sleeve of my damp hoodie, tasting salt and shame. "Thank you." I didn't know what to do. My words tumbled out, fractured like broken glass underfoot. She smiled, small and real, the kind that reached her eyes and made the alley feel less like a trap. "Name's Jordan. Photographer." I was heading home from a late shoot when I heard the commotion. Lucky timing. She extended a hand, scarred knuckles from too many shutter clicks, and I took it, her grip firm and steady, grounding me like an anchor in choppy waters. "Alex," I managed, my voice a whisper. "Bartender. Bad at picking boyfriends, apparently." Jordan's laugh was warm, a low rumble that eased the knot in my gut. "Join the club. Come on, let's get you out of here. My place is 2 blocks over. Dry clothes, coffee. No strings." I should have said no. Strangers in the night, especially ones who looked at you like they saw straight through the cracks. That's how stories like mine spiraled. But her eyes held no pity, only a quiet understanding that mirrored the ache in my bones. And in that moment, with the rain washing away the grime of my fear, I nodded. "Okay." We walked in silence at first, her arm brushing mine occasionally, sending tiny jolts through the numbness. The city pulsed around us, honking cabs, laughter spilling from a dive bar, the sizzle of street food vendors firing up grills for the graveyard shift. New York, the beast that never sleeps, indifferent yet alive. Jordan's apartment was in a walk-up brownstone, the kind with creaky stairs and walls papered in faded floral that whispered of immigrant dreams from decades past. Inside, it smelled of darkroom chemicals and fresh basil from a windowsill herb garden. She flicked on a lamp, casting golden pools across mismatched furniture. A thrift store couch piled with plaid blankets, bookshelves groaning under photography tomes and dog-eared novels. "Bathrooms down the hall," she said, tossing me a towel and an oversized sweatshirt that smelled like her, sandalwood and something faintly citrusy. "I'll brew some, Joe." The hot shower was a revelation, steam curling around me like forgiving arms, rinsing away the night's filth. But as the water pounded my skin, memories flooded back. Mark's grip on my wrist last month, twisting until I heard the pop, the way he'd apologize with flowers and fevered kisses, only to shatter the peace again. I emerged wrapped in her clothes, too big but comforting, like being held without the weight. Jordan handed me a mug of black coffee, strong enough to wake the dead, and we settled on the couch. The clock on the wall ticked past 3 a.m., each second a small victory against the dark. "Want to talk about it?" she asked, not pushing, just opening the door. I sipped, the bitterness grounding me. "He's possessive." Started small, jealous texts showing up at work. Then it escalated. My voice cracked on the last word, and I stared into the steam rising from my cup, watching it twist like the lies I told myself. I thought I could fix him. Stupid, right? She shook her head, her ponytail swaying. "Not stupid. Human. I've been there, not with a guy like that, but with someone who made me feel small. Took me years to see it." Her eyes softened, a flicker of her own ghosts dancing there. Jordan Hale, freelance shutterbug for magazines like Vice and The New Yorker, chasing stories in war-torn corners of the world. I glimpsed her portfolio on the coffee table. Raw shots of protests in Ferguson, intimate portraits of queer kids in the village. She captured pain and beauty without flinching. We talked then, words spilling like the rain outside had unlocked something in me. About my dead-end dreams of painting, buried under bar shifts and bills. About her latest gig, photographing a drag ball in Harlem. The electric joy of bodies unapologetic under strobe lights. Laughter crept in, tentative at first, then fuller, chasing shadows from the corners. By dawn, the sky lightened to a bruised purple, filtering through gauzy curtains. Exhaustion tugged at me, but so did something warmer. A pull toward her, magnetic and terrifying. She caught me staring, her green eyes holding mine, and the air thickened, charged like the moment before a storm breaks. "You saved me tonight," I whispered, my hand finding hers on the cushion between us. Her skin was warm, calloused in places that spoke of holding steady in chaos. Jordan's breath hitched just a fraction, but I felt it like a current. Anyone would have. But her thumb traced a slow circle on my knuckle, deliberate, igniting sparks that raced up my arm. Not anyone. The words hung there, heavy with unspoken want. I'd never felt this with a woman. Not like this, raw and immediate, stripping away the armor I'd worn since Mark made me question my own skin. But Jordan. She saw me, bruises and all, and didn't look away. She leaned in, slow enough to let me pull back, her lips brushing mine, tentative, questioning. Salt and coffee impossibility. I didn't pull back. Instead, I surged forward, fingers tangling in her hair. The kiss deepening like a dive into uncharted waters. Her hands framed my face, gentle yet sure, thumbs wiping away tears I hadn't realized were falling. We broke apart, foreheads pressed together, breaths mingling in the quiet. "Alex," she murmured, voice husky, "we don't have to." But I did. God, I did. That night, under her touch, I lost control. Not in destruction, but in surrender. Her hands mapped my body like she was framing a shot, reverent, capturing every curve and scar. The room filled with our whispers, the creak of the couch, the soft sighs that built to gasps. She was fire and anchor, unraveling me thread by thread until I was bare, remade. Afterward, tangled in sheets that smelled of us, I traced the freckles across her shoulder. What now? The question trembled, laced with the dawn's fragile light. Jordan kissed my temple, her arm a warm weight across my waist. Now? We figure it out. Together. But even as hope bloomed, a shadow lingered. Mark's parting threat echoing like thunder on the horizon. Sunlight crept through the blinds like a hesitant intruder, painting stripes across Jordan's rumpled sheets. I woke to the sound of her humming in the kitchen, a low off-key rendition of some indie folk tune I'd swear was from a Wes Anderson soundtrack. My body ached in the best way, muscles loose from release, skin tingling with the ghost of her fingertips. For the first time in months, the knot in my chest had unraveled, leaving space for something light, almost foreign, peace. I pulled on her sweatshirt, the fabric soft against my thighs, and padded barefoot down the hall. The apartment was a snapshot of her life, Polaroids thumbtacked to the fridge, capturing fleeting moments. A street musician in the Bowery, lips pursed around a harmonica. A couple mid-kiss under the Brooklyn Bridge, rain blurring their edges. Jordan stood at the counter, pouring oatmeal into bowls, her hair loose now, cascading like autumn leaves. She turned, catching my eye, and grinned, that crooked, knowing smile that made my stomach flip. "Morning, survivor," she said, sliding a bowl my way. Steam rose, carrying cinnamon and the faint tang of apples she'd diced fresh. "Sleep okay?" "Better than okay." I leaned against the counter, spoon in hand, watching her move with that effortless grace, like she composed her days the way she did her photos, deliberate, alive. 32 and unapologetically herself. Out since 16. Navigating the queer scene in New York with the quiet confidence of someone who'd fought for every inch of visibility. She'd told me bits last night over wine we'd cracked open after round 2. Her first crush on a theater kid in high school, the sting of coming out to conservative parents in Jersey, the freedom of lens as her confessional. We ate cross-legged on the living room floor, backs against the couch, legs tangled casually. The city hummed outside. Horns blaring, a distant jackhammer pounding like a migraine. But here it was just us, spoons clinking, laughter bubbling over stories of bar disasters and botched shoots. "So this one time," I said, wiping a dribble of oatmeal from my chin, "this Wall Street bro orders a Manhattan, then complains it's too girly. I tell him, 'Sir, if your drink's got more balls than you, maybe hit the gym.' Crowd lost it." Jordan threw her head back, her laugh a cascade that filled the room. "Your trouble. I like it." Her foot nudged mine, playful, but her eyes held heat, remnants of the night. "What shift you got today?" 4 to close at the anchor. I sighed, the reality crashing in like cold water. Gotta head back to my place, shower for real, pretend last night was just a fever dream. She set her bowl aside, shifting closer, her hand finding my knee. Or, you could crash here a bit longer. I've got no shoot till afternoon. We could walk the bridge, grab bagels from that spot in Dumbo. Tempting. Too tempting. But Mark's face flashed in my mind. His sneer, the way he'd trash my phone if he suspected I'd stayed out. I can't. He knows where I live. If he shows up at work. My voice trailed, the warmth leaching out. Jordan's expression darkened, not anger at me, but at the invisible chains he still held. That's not right, Alex. You deserve more than looking over your shoulder. She cupped my cheek, thumb brushing my jaw. Let me help. We can file a report, get a restraining order. I've got a friend who's a lawyer. Queer as hell, specializes in this shit. I leaned into her touch, the scent of her skin, sandalwood and sleep grounding me. Maybe. Just. Not yet. Fear was a sly beast, whispering that one wrong move and he'd drag me under again. But her steadiness chipped at it, like light through cracks in concrete. We lingered like that, the morning stretching lazy until my phone buzzed on the coffee table. A text from my roommate. Lena? Where are you? Mark was here at dawn, pounding on door. Freaked me out. My blood ran cold, the spoon slipping from my fingers to clatter on the floor. Jordan read over my shoulder, her jaw tightening. Fuck that. You're not going back alone. Before I could protest, she was on her feet, grabbing keys in her jacket. Come on. I'll drive you. And we're talking to the cops today. No arguments. The cab ride to my Bushwick walk-up was a blur of yellow taxis and graffiti-splashed walls, the East River glinting mockingly under a pale sun. Jordan's hand stayed laced with mine, a lifeline in the leather seat's confines. My building loomed, a sagging four-story with fire escapes like skeletal fingers. As we climbed the stairs, the air grew stale, laced with the faint mildew from last winter's leak. Lena answered the door in her nurse's scrubs, eyes wide with worry, her short-cropped hair a wild halo. Alex. Thank God. He was ranting about you cheating or some bullshit. I told him to fuck off, but... She trailed off, hugging me fierce, then eyed Jordan. Who's this? Jordan, I said, stepping inside, the familiar clutter. Art supplies strewn on the kitchen table, posters of Frida Kahlo and Nina Simone curling at the edges, feeling suddenly foreign. She helped last night. Lena's gaze sharpened, appraising. 30 pan and proud, she'd been my rock since we met at a poetry slam 2 years back. The good kind of help? A teasing lilt, but concern undercut it. Jordan chuckled, diffusing. The punch an asshole in the throat if needed kind. Nice to meet you. We filled her in over hastily brewed tea, the steam curling like question marks. Lena paced, her sneakers squeaking on linoleum. This ends now, Alex. He's escalating. Remember what happened to my cousin? That bastard nearly. She stopped, swallowing hard. Domestic violence didn't discriminate, but in our circle of queer women scraping by in the city, it hit like a shared scar. I know. I rubbed my temples, the throb building. Jordan's right. Cops first. She drove me to the precinct in her beat-up Subaru, a relic from her road trip days across the Southwest. The station smelled of burnt coffee and despair, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead like angry hornets. Detective Ruiz, a no-nonsense Latina with a badge polished to a shine, took our statements in a cramped interview room. Her pen scratched across paper, capturing Mark's history. The calls I'd documented in a hidden journal. The photos of fading bruises I'd snapped in bathroom mirrors. You're doing the right thing, she said, sliding forms across the table. Restraining orders a start. We'll bring him in for questioning. Her eyes met mine steady. And if you're part of the community. She nodded subtly toward Jordan's pride pin on her jacket. There's resources. The Anti-Violence Project, great folks. Gratitude swelled thick in my throat. New York wasn't always kind, but pockets of it fought like hell. We left with paperwork in hand, the midday sun fierce now, baking the sidewalks. Jordan suggested lunch at a falafel joint in the village, Hole in the wall with plastic chairs and tabbouleh that exploded with lemon and mint. Over greasy pitas, conversation flowed easy again. Her tales of embedding with activists in Standing Rock, the chill of Wyoming winds during a ghost town series. I shared snippets of my paintings hidden in sketchbooks under my bed. Abstract swirls of color, emotions I couldn't voice. "You're talented," she said, licking tahini from her thumb, her gaze intent. "Why hide it?" "Life, I guess." I shrugged, but her words stirred something dormant, a spark. Afternoon blurred into my shift at the Anchor. Jordan dropped me off, promising to pick me up after. The bar was a dive's dream. Scarred wood counters, jukebox crooning Springsteen, patrons nursing beers like old friends. I mixed drinks on autopilot, Cosmos for the bachelorette crew, IPAs for the hipsters, but every shadow made me jump, expecting Mark's hulking form. By 10 the crowd thinned, the air thick with spilled stout and fryer grease. My phone vibrated. "Unknown? You think a dyke can protect you? Watch your back." Heart slamming, I showed the bartender Mike, a grizzled vet with tattoos snaking up his arms. "Call the cops if he shows," he grunted, but his hand on my shoulder was steady. Jordan arrived at midnight, her camera bag swapped for a six-pack of local craft. We walked to her place under streetlights that haloed like promises, the night's chill nipping at our heels. Inside, she uncapped beers with a church key, foam hissing like secrets. We crashed on the couch, a rom-com flickering on her laptop, something with witty banter and stolen glances, but neither of us watched. Her head on my lap, fingers idly tracing my thigh through denim. "That text. It's him, isn't it?" "Probably." I threaded strands of her hair, auburn silk. "But with you here it feels manageable." She sat up, eyes searching mine, the screen's glow casting her in blue. "I don't want to be just a shield, Alex. I want." She hesitated, vulnerability cracking her armor. "More." The kiss that followed was slower, deeper, tasting of hops and hunger. Clothes shed in a trail to the bedroom, her body arching under mine. Gasp sinking with the creak of floorboards. She whispered my name like a prayer, hands worshipping, drawing out moans I'd forgotten I could make. In her arms I wasn't broken, I was whole, electric. But as sleep claimed us, my phone lit up again on the nightstand. "Unknown, see you soon." The shadow lengthened, creeping closer. The next week unfolded like a montage in one of those gritty indie films. Handheld camera shakes, swelling synth score underscoring stolen moments amid the chaos. Jordan and I fell into a rhythm, her brownstone becoming my unofficial harbor. Morning started with her grinding beans in a clunky burr mill, the rich aroma pulling me from dreams laced with Mark's phantom grip. We'd scramble eggs on a hot plate, yolks runny and golden, trading sections of the Times over coffee mugs chipped from too many moves. She had a shoot in Soho that Tuesday, capturing a fashion lines behind the scenes. Models in avant-garde silks posing against exposed brick lofts. "Come watch," she texted mid-morning, a selfie attached. Her grinning from behind the viewfinder, warehouse light gilding her profile. I snuck away from a slow lunch rush at the bar, heart light as I navigated the subway's subterranean rumble, the F train rattling like my pulse. The studio buzzed. Assistants pinning hems, stylists spritzing hairspray that hung heavy in the air like fog. Jordan moved like a conductor, calling shots in clipped commands. "Tilt left, give me that fire." Her focus magnetic. I lingered in a corner, nursing a water from a cooler, mesmerized by how she coaxed vulnerability from strangers. One model, a trans woman with cheekbones sharp as switchblades, caught my eye post-shoot. "You're the girlfriend?" she asked, toweling sweat from her neck, voice laced with New York brass. Yeah, I think." I flushed, the label new and thrilling, like slipping into a dress that fit just right. She laughed, throaty. "Jordan doesn't let just anyone crash her sets. Hold on to that one, she's gold." Gold. It stuck, warming me through the afternoon chill as we grabbed slices at a corner pizzeria. Cheese stretching like lazy taffy. "You're good at this," I said, wiping sauce from my lip, the tang of tomato lingering. "Making people seen." Jordan shrugged, but pride flickered in her eyes. "It's what I do." What we all deserve. Her foot hooked around my ankle under the Formica table. A subtle anchor. Evenings blurred into nights of exploration. Hers, mine, ours. She'd traced the faded tattoo on my hip, a tiny anchor inked during a rebellious phase at 20, her lips following the lines until I arched, breath hitching on her name. I'd wake her with fingers dancing down her spine, eliciting sleepy murmurs and the rustle of sheets. Sex with her wasn't conquest. It was communion, bodies speaking what words fumbled. The scent of her skin, earthy and alive, became my addiction, chasing away the stale fear Mark left behind. But the texts kept coming, insidious drips eroding the joy. Slut. Bet she's rough like you deserve. I'd delete them, block numbers, but they multiplied like roaches in summer heat. Jordan noticed the shadows under my eyes, the way I'd flinch at sudden noises. We gotta escalate this, she said one night, post-takeout tie, the spice of curry still sharp on our tongues. Containers littered the coffee table, fortune cookies cracked open to banal wisdom. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Fitting but hollow. I nodded, but inertia gripped me. The restraining order was filed, but no arrest yet. Mark had lawyered up, his construction union connections buying time. What if he spins it? Says I'm unstable. Paranoia whispered, fueled by memories of his gaslighting. You're too sensitive, babe. It's all in your head. Jordan pulled me close, her heartbeat steady under my ear. Then we fight. With truth. With us. Her hand slipped under my shirt, palm flat against my stomach, a silent vow. Friday brought a fragile normalcy. A double date with Lena and her flavor of the month. A cute barista named Riley with dimples and a sleeve of floral tats. We hit a lesbian open mic in the East Village, the basement club dim and smoky, walls vibrating with bass from a soundcheck, air thick with patchouli and possibility, bodies swaying to folk punk anthems about heartbreak and reclamation. Riley bought rounds of gin and tonics, limes bobbing like buoys. Lena dragged us to the dance floor, her hips loose, infectious. Jordan and I moved together, tentative at first, her hands on my waist, guiding, mine around her neck, fingers in her hair. The crowd blurred, a sea of queer joy. Butches in flannel, femmes in glitter, non-binary souls owning the space. A singer took the stage, voice raw over acoustic guitar. I loved you through the bruises, but darling, now I'm gone. Tears pricked my eyes, cathartic as Jordan spun me, her laugh in my ear a shield against the lyric sting. Later, crammed into a booth slick with spilled drinks, Riley leaned in. How'd you two meet? Spill. Her eyes sparkled, eager for romance. I glanced at Jordan, our knees knocking under the table. Heroics in an alley. She saved me from my ex. Riley's brow furrowed. The asshole? Heard about that. Lena said he's bad news. Yeah. I sipped my gin, the juniper bite steadying. But she's my good news. Jordan's hand found mine, squeezing. The night peaked with a group toast. To new beginnings. Glasses clinking like wind chimes. Walking home, arms linked, the city a glittering vein, I felt invincible. Until my phone buzzed in my pocket, the vibration a jolt. Enjoying your little show? I'll crash the party soon. I froze under a street lamp's glare, the light pooling like spilled milk. Jordan read it, curse slipping low. Enough. Tomorrow we go to AVP. Get a safety plan, maybe a shelter if needed. Her protectiveness wrapped around me, but guilt gnawed, dragging her into my mess. You don't have to. Shut up. She stopped, turning me to face her, hands firm on my shoulders. Rain started, fine mist that beaded on her lashes. I'm in this because I want to be. Because you. She searched for words. Rain drumming soft on awnings overhead. You make me feel alive, Alex. Like my photos, raw real. Don't push me away. I kissed her then, fierce under the downpour, water sluicing down our faces, tasting of salt and city grit. Her arms crushed me close, the world narrowing to her warmth, her breath a ragged sigh against my mouth. We stumbled to her place, shedding wet clothes in the hall, towels forgotten. The bed welcomed us, sheets cool against fevered skin. She took her time, lips charting paths down my collarbone, tongue flicking sensitive spots that drew whimpers from deep in my chest. I lost myself in her, nails raking her back, hips grinding in rhythm to the storm outside. Climax hit like thunder, shattering, leaving us boneless, entwined. Sleep came heavy but dreams twisted. Mark's face morphing into Jordan's, accusation in his eyes. I jolted awake at 4 a.m., sweat slick, her arm still draped over me. Staring at the ceiling cracks like lightning veins, doubt crept in. Could I really build something here? Or was I just borrowing her light to hide my dark? Dawn brought resolve. We rose, brewed coffee strong as resolve, and headed to the Anti-Violence Project's office in Chelsea. The space was a sanctuary. Rainbow flags fluttering, walls lined with resource pamphlets, a coffee urn gurgling welcome. Counselor Mia, a soft-spoken black woman with locks braided in activist colors, listened without judgment as we spilled it all, the alley, the texts, the fragile bloom of us. "You're brave for coming," she said, handing me a folder thick with options. Hotlines, legal aid, therapy circles for survivors. And this relationship? Nurture it. It's your strength. Walking out, hand in Jordan's, the sun broke through clouds, warming the pavement. For the first time, hope felt tangible, like the callus on her thumb brushing mine. But that night, as sirens wailed blocks away, a knock echoed at her door, insistent, ominous. Heart in throat, I peered through the peephole. Not Mark, but a delivery guy, envelope in hand. Inside, photos. Me and Jordan at the falafel spot, laughing. Stalking shots, timestamps from days ago. He was closer than we thought. Panic surged, but Jordan's voice cut through. "We're ending this. Now." The photos hit like a sucker punch, each glossy print a violation. Snapped from shadows, angles that screamed obsession. Me laughing at the falafel joint, Jordan's hand mid-gesture. Us on the bridge, wind-swept and close. Even one from the open mic, blurred by motion but unmistakable. No note, just the images fanned in the envelope like a twisted fan mail. My hands shook as I shuffled them, the paper edges slicing tiny nicks into my skin. Jordan paced the living room, phone to ear, voice clipped as she relayed details to Detective Ruiz. "Yes, timestamps match. No prints yet, but he's escalating. We need a welfare check on his address now." She hung up, turning to me, her face a mask of controlled fury, green eyes storm dark. "They're sending a car. He won't slip this time." I nodded, but nausea churned, bile rising sharp. Collapsing onto the couch, I pulled my knees to chest, the sweatshirt, hers, swallowing me whole. How long? How long has he been watching? The word tasted foul, like rust in my mouth. She knelt before me, hands on my shins, grounding. "Doesn't matter. It's over soon." Her thumbs rubbed circles, slow and soothing, but tension coiled in her shoulders, a tell she'd learned to hide in high-stakes shoots but couldn't now. For me. We waited, the clocks tick a metronome to dread. Outside, the city slumbered uneasy. Distant laughter from a late-night wanderer. The low growl of a garbage truck. Mia from AVP had texted support lines, but words blurred on my screen. Instead, I focused on Jordan. The way her jaw clenched, the faint scar above her lip from a bike crash in college, stories she'd shared in quieter moments. By 2 a.m., Ruiz called back. Caught him at his place in Queens. Photos match his camera, digital backups too. He's in holding overnight. Charges pending. Stalking, harassment. Good work coming forward. Relief flooded, cool as rain after drought, but it ebbed quick, leaving exhaustion. Jordan ordered from a 24-hour diner. Fries and milkshakes, comfort in grease and sweetness. We ate on the fire escape. Legs dangling over the alley, city lights twinkling like defiant stars. Vanilla malt thick on my tongue. I leaned into her side. "Thank you. For all of it." She draped an arm around me, chin on my head. Team effort. But her voice held an undercurrent, weary. Saving me had cost her sleep. Shoots rescheduled around precinct visits. Guilt twisted, sharp. The arrest made headlines in our bubble. Lena whooping over brunch at a Clinton Hill cafe. Sunlight slanting through ferns, mimosas fizzing golden. "To badasses," she toasted, clinking her flute to mine and Jordan's. Riley grinned, sketching on a napkin. A cartoon fist smashing a heart-shaped cage. Work at the anchor shifted too. Mike installed a panic button under the bar. His gruff no more lone wolf bullshit avow. Tips flowed steadier. Regulars nodding respect when I poured their whiskeys neat. One slow Tuesday a woman in a tailored blazer, 40s silver-streaked bob slid onto a stool. Heard about your ex rough stuff. If you ever want to talk art, not drama. She left a card. Gallery owner Queer Collective. Jordan's world pulled me deeper. She dragged me to a darkroom session in her co-op space. A basement lair redlit and humming with enlargers were. Your turn, she said, handing me a negative strip. My own face, candid from our bridge walk, eyes alight in a way I'd forgotten. Developing it, chemicals acrid in my nose, watching the image bloom ghostly then solid. Magic. See? You're the story worth telling. I framed it for her wall, a quiet claim on space in her life. Nights deepened our bond. Slow dances in the kitchen to Coltrane vinyls, her saxophone sighs weaving with our breaths. Midnight runs along the waterfront, Hudson lapping black and silver, her hand warm in mine despite the bite. Intimacy bloomed beyond skin, her sharing fears of burnout, lenses cracking under pressure. Me confessing abandoned canvases in my closet, colors screaming what I silenced. But fractures showed. A cancelled shoot for me, Mark's court date clashing, left her snapping at an assistant, guilt etching lines on her face. I hate this, she admitted one evening, rain lashing windows as we huddled under a quilt, wanting to fix it all for you. You're not. I kissed her knuckles, tasting salt from her grip on the wheel that day. You're just. You. Court came swift, a sterile box in downtown Manhattan, air stale with polished wood and tension. Mark stood shackled, suit rumpled, eyes boring into me across the aisle. I testified, voice steady despite the quiver in my gut. Dates, incidents, the alley's terror. Jordan sat beside me, her presence a bulwark, fingers laced tight under the bench. His lawyer spun yarns, jealous misunderstandings, my instability, but evidence mounted. Texts logged, photos forensically tied, witnesses from the bar. Judge Harlan, a stern woman with glasses perched like a hawk, banged gavel. Guilty on all counts. 6 months plus probation, no contact. As they led him away, his glare promised retribution, but bars would hold it. Outside, autumn crisp in Central Park, leaves crunching copper underfoot, I broke, sobs racking, Jordan holding me on a bench slick with dew. It's done, she whispered, rocking gentle. Free. Freedom tasted bittersweet, like the hot cider we bought from a cart, steam curling in the chill. We wandered paths, geese honking overhead, her arm around my waist. But elation cracked later, in the quiet of her bed. I traced her ribs, her breaths evening into sleep, and panic surged. What if I broke her too? My chaos spilling, tainting her steady orbit. Next morning, over pancakes fluffy with buttermilk, I voiced it. Jordan, am I too much? This mess. She set her fork down, syrup glistening. Too much? You're everything. Leaning across the table, she kissed me sticky sweet. We built from ruins. That's the art. Emboldened, I dusted off my paints that weekend. Oils thick and forgiving on canvas, strokes bold. Us intertwined against city skylines, colors bleeding passionate. Jordan photographed the process, her lens a caress, capturing drips like tears, my focus furrowed. A month in, she pitched a joint project. A series on survivor stories, my art paired with her shots. Your voice, my eye, she said, excitement sparking. Galleries nibbled, the queer art scene hungry for raw truth. But peace was tentative, a tightrope. One night, post-gallery meet cute with curators over cheap Merlot. We tumbled home buzzed, laughter echoing stairs. In her room, clothes shed hasty, her mouth hot on my neck, I surrendered again. Legs wrapping her waist, gasp sinking to the headboard's tap. She drove me higher, fingers curling just right, my cries muffled in her shoulder. Release shattered, waves crashing, leaving us driftwood spent. Whispers in afterglow. Dreams of a studio share, road trips to Big Sur, a life woven. But as her breathing slowed, my phone, silenced but insistent, glowed. A voicemail unknown. Heart stuttering, I pressed play. Mark's voice slurred from jail calls. You think it's over? I'll wait. Forever. Chills raced, but I deleted it, curling into her. Tomorrow's fight. Tonight her touch, my salvation. Winter clamped down on New York like a vice, the wind off the river knifing through coats, sidewalks gritty with salt and slush. Mark's jail stint stretched, but his shadow lingered, voicemails smuggled through proxies, whispers from mutual friends at his job sites. I changed my number twice, but paranoia rooted deep, a weed choking blooms. Jordan countered with fierce normalcy. Bundled walks in Prospect Park, breath fogging in twin clouds, her gloved hand tugging me toward a hot cocoa stand where marshmallows bobbed like tiny clouds. You're glowing, Lena noted over holiday drinks at a pop-up bar in Bushwick, fairy lights twinkling on exposed beams, mulled wine steaming ruby. Riley nodded, arm around Lena's waist. Seriously, it's annoying in a cute way. I flushed, Jordan's knee pressing mine under the high-top table. A secret Morse. Glowing. Maybe. The art show loomed, our collaborative exhibit at a tiny gallery in the Lower East Side, shades of survival. My paintings, visceral slashes of crimson and indigo evoking bruise and rebirth. Her photos, intimate frames of queer resilience, faces unbowed. Opening in 2 weeks, invitations out to curators, friends, even Mia from AVP. Prep consumed us. Days blurred in her apartment turned studio. Canvases leaning like drunken soldiers, drop cloth speckled rainbow, the air sharp with turpentine and fixer baths. I'd paint till my arms screamed, Jordan snapping candids, me mid-stroke, paint smeared and fierce, then we'd collapse, take out forgotten bodies seeking solace. Her touch evolved, attuned. Slow circles on my inner thigh drawing shivers, lips teasing until please spilled unbidden. Please, Jordan. She'd smile against my skin, obliging, building tension till I fractured, her name a litany. One blizzard night, snow muffling the world to cotton hush, we ventured out, her idea. Cabin fever cure. Bundled in scarves and beanies, we trudged to a jazz dive in Harlem. The club's warmth a revelation. Sax wailing bluesy over upright bass thrum, candlelight dancing on brick. We claimed a corner booth, knees knocking, her fingers tracing mine on the scarred table. A waitress, tall with a buzz cut and septum ring, brought old-fashioned cherries glowing like embers. Halfway through the set, Jordan leaned close, breath whiskey warm on my ear. Dance with me. The floor was small, bodies swaying loose, and we joined, her hands low on my hips, guiding through the crowd. The music pulsed sultry, her body flesh to mine, breasts brushing, thighs aligning. Heat built, friction electric, until the song faded and she pulled back, eyes dark with promise. Home. Now. The cab ride was torture, city a whiteout blur, her hand possessive on my thigh, inching higher till I bit my lip to stifle a gasp. Stumbling inside, snow melting in puddles at the door, we didn't make the bedroom. Against the wall, coats half shed, her mouth claimed mine hungry, hands rucking up my sweater. I yanked her shirt free, nails grazing her bra's lace, eliciting a groan that vibrated through me. She lifted me effortless, legs wrapping her waist, the hallway echoing our urgency. Fabric tearing soft, skin slapping fervent. Wall cool at my back, her hips grinding precise, I came undone fast, cries swallowed in her kiss, her own release shuddering moments later. Panting foreheads pressed, snowflakes melting on lashes. Love this, she murmured, setting me down gentle. Love you. The words hung profound and I echoed them, throat tight. Love you too. First time spoken, sealing something sacred. But joy's underbelly stirred. Exhibit Eve's stress peaked. A canvas warped from humidity, a print streaked in processing. We argued, me snapping at her fix-it pragmatism, her retreating to the fire escape for air, cigarette smoke curling defiant. I can't save everyone, Alex, she said later, voice raw over cold pizza. Not even you from yourself. Stung, I retreated to my old place, Lena's couch a familiar sag. Sleepless, staring at water stains like Rorschach fears, regret gnawed. By dawn I was back, apology baked in muffins, burnt edges and all. She opened the door, eyes puffy, pulling me into a hug that smelled of sleep and smoke. Missed you, we chorused, laughing through tears. Opening night crackled electric. Gallery packed, air humming with chatter and clinking glasses of cheap Chardonnay. Walls glowed, my fracture canvas. A heart splintered yet mending in electric blues. Her Haven series, Jordan cradling a subject's face, vulnerability bare. Whispers swelled. Powerful. Raw. A curator cornered us, card crisp. Follow-up show? MoMA radar. Amid the swirl, Mark's absence loomed ghost thin. Probation held, but a letter arrived days prior, jail stationery, his scrawl jagged. You'll regret this. She's poison. I burned it in the sink, flame licking blue, but ash lingered. Post-opening high, we celebrated at a rooftop bar. Skyline glittering, frost-kissed. Tipsy on champagne flutes, her hand in mine, I felt invincible. Till my phone rang, Ruiz. He's out. Early release for good behavior. No violations yet, but watch close. The world tilted, bubbles souring. Jordan's face paled, but she squared shoulders. We knew this. Safety plan holds. Home the high crashed. I paced, breath shallow, her attempts to soothe grating. Stop hovering. Snapped, unfair, born of terror. She flinched, retreating to the studio door, clicking soft. Alone I spiraled, memories assaulting. Mark's first slap. Playful then not. Apologies flowered with daisies, wilting fast. Sobs came, ugly, till exhaustion dropped me on the rug, carpet fibers rough under cheek. Jordan found me there. Dawn graying windows. No words, just arms lifting, carrying to bed. We curled fetal, her heartbeat lulling mine slow. I'm scared, I whispered, dawn's light fracturing prisms on the wall. Me too. Honesty bomb. But we're stronger tangled. Healing threaded tentative. Therapy sessions at AVP. Mia's office a cocoon of plants and patience. Unpacking trauma's knots. Jordan joined once, her hand clammy in mine as we voiced codependency fears. Art therapy followed. Me sketching her profile, strokes tender. Her directing me in self-portraits. Own the scars. Spring teased, crocuses pushing concrete, mirroring our thaw. A weekend escape to the Catskills. Her Subaru crunching gravel up winding roads. Cabin wood smoke scented. Lake mirror still. We hiked trails muddy with melt. Her laughter echoing as we slipped. Tumbling into underbrush, kissing dirt smeared. Evenings by fire crackle, her reading poetry. Audre Lorde words fierce. Your silence will not protect you. Intimacy reignited slow. Massages turning erotic, her oiled hands kneading tension to moans. Fingers exploring till I quaked. Her following suit under my reciprocal touch. Back in city grind, normalcy rebuilt brick by brick. But one muggy June eve as thunder grumbled distant, a knock shattered it. Fists pounding, Mark's bellow. Alex! Open up, we need to talk. Heartsease, I froze mid-stirring pasta sauce, garlic and basil mocking domesticity. Jordan chopping veggies, dropped the knife, eyes wide. Bedroom. Now. Phone, Ruiz. I bolted, dialing frantic, barricading as crashes rattled the door, wood splintering. Sirens wailed approaching, his curses peaking. You whore with that bitch. Cops burst in, tasers drawn, hauling him thrashing. Violation clear, breach threats. In the aftermath, statement given in flashing lights. Jordan's arm my anchor. He faced years now, walls closing. Bruised door but we unbroken. Summer scorched the city. Asphalt shimmering mirage-like. Fire hydrants gushing rainbows for kids in hydrant spray. Mark's rearest sealed fractures. Trial swift, sentence 5 years minimum. His union ties crumbling under evidence weight. Courtroom air thick with finality. His glare defeated as cuffs clicked. Judge's gavel a period. Outside humidity clung but freedom breathed crisp, untainted. Jordan and I leaned into aftershocks, rebuilding intentional. The exhibit toured Brooklyn galleries first, then a queer arts fest in Provincetown, salt air tangy. Dunes whispering secrets. We drove the coast, windows down. Her playlist shuffling Tracy Chapman to Halsey. Voices harmonizing off-key. Motel nights. Threadbare quilts, her body arching under mine. Moonlight silvering sweat-slick skin. Climax's quiet thunder. Back home, life layered richer. I cut bar hours, adjunct teaching at a community center. Painting classes for survivors. Brushes as wands reclaiming narratives. Jordan's book deal landed. Unseen. Queer survival in frames. My forward inked emotional. Words spilling gratitude. Launches packed. Her signing copies with that focused scrawl. Me beaming peripheral. Challenges wove in, humanizing. Her burnout flared, deadlines devouring. A Syria embed cancelled for ethics qualms, leaving her adrift. I'd find her on the fire escape, staring vacant, cigarette dangling. Worth it, she'd murmur, smoke-wreathing doubt. I joined, legs swinging, hand on her knee. You're the worth. Nights mending. Baths drawn, steaming, eucalyptus sharp, my fingers shampooing her hair till tension ebbed, evolving to languid sex, her straddling, grinding slow, breath sinking to water's lap, release pooling soft. My shadows resurfaced too. Therapy drudging, abandonment from childhood. Dad bolting when I was 10, leaving mom to waitress doubles. Trust fractures echoed marks. One fight erupted over a forgotten pickup. Me accusing neglect, her snapping exhaustion. Words flew barbed. Can't you see I'm drowning too? Door slams, me crashing Lena's, tears-soaking pillow till pride cracked. Morning brought her at the door. Coffee peace offering, eyes red-rimmed. Fight fair. Always. Hug fierce, forgiveness in her scent. Sandalwood steadfast. Anniversary marked 6 months. Rooftop picnic, skyline ablaze, sunset, Prosecco bubbling. She gifted a camera, small point and shoot for my eye training, insisting, capture what moves you. I gave etched glass, our hands intertwined, light fracturing prisms. You always. Love deep and verbal, physical. Whispers pre-dawn. Marry me. Not ring but intent. Someday, I echoed, heart full. Intimacy peaked, exploratory. Toys from a curious online order, her guiding a strap-on with patience, filling me deliberate, gasps building to screams muffled in pillows, reciprocity flipping roles, her vulnerability a gift. Community anchored. Potlucks with EVP alums, laughter over pot stickers and Pinot. Pride marches, rainbows riotous, her lens chronicling my signs bold. Love saved me. Lena's wedding, small beachy in Coney Island, waves crashing vows. Us as witnesses, tears salt mingled. One crisp fall eve, a year post-alley, we revisited the rusty anchor. Closing time hush, mic pouring last calls. To heroes, he toasted, eyeing Jordan. Outside under harvest moon she pulled me close. That night changed everything. I traced her jaw, thumb on lip scar. Saved me. Then now always. Kiss lingered, world fading to her pulse. No more shadows, just us, fire kindled, enduring. In the end, she didn't just save me from him. She saved me from me. Unleashing control, birthing strength. Under her touch I found not loss but life. Raw, radiant hours.